morning, Chi Chi fams. It is 6 a.m. and I am ready to go. I want to give you guys some updates with the coming changes in the next few days, August 17th, for that matter. And, just market update, all that. Hey, Lisa, how
Hey, good
you
morning.
doing? Good morning, good morning, good morning. I see you got your drink there. You can hear me fine, right?
Yep,
Awesome, awesome. Good morning, Chua. Nice to see you online. You know, Choi is a notary. I think she's a notary. She helped a few of my past clients before sign. You know that, Lisa? She's local here in El
nice.
Go. Yeah. What's up, Mai?
Well, that's great.
What is going on? I hope our audio is okay. Lisa, you said my audio is not doing good.
It was cutting in and out a little bit.
What about now?
Yeah, better.
Right now's all right. Okay. Charles might come on a little later. I think he's in the East Coast right now, helping his sister move to Sacramento. So
Nice.
yeah, but um, I've been getting a lot of people asking me, Chia, about the changes, the buyer's agent commission thing. It's coming into effect in a couple of days, so August 17th. It's going to be in full effect. But a lot of brokers are already kind of implementing it. EXP, especially, there's a lot of documentations already that's already been in play. Yeah, some of the changes in California, it's I think it's gonna be nationwide, right? It's not just California. I think it's everywhere. I know that um yeah, your MLS is affected today. Yeah, well ours have already been I think ours don't take into effect until Saturday because I'm still seeing that buyer's agent commission column popping up in the MLS, but soon that's gonna go away. Okay, um, and we'll talk more about that topic after we do our market update, and all that, and then you guys can chime in, because since you're a broker over there in the East Coast as well, you can kind of share your opinion about everything over there. It'll be much appreciated. Okay, but before we do that, let me just share my screen real quick so that way we can go over this market update for everybody. And let's look at the data. Inventory is going up. By 3% from last week. Inventory went up 3%. New listing is up 18%. That's nice to see. Okay. Sold home is down 23%. Pending home is up 3%. Is week on week. Now, month over month, inventory is higher this month by almost 2%, but new listings are down almost 5%. Good morning, Thing, and good morning, Blueprint Boy. East Coast, okay, that's what's up. Glad to have you guys on. Sold homes are down 13% from last month. Pending home is up 7% from last month. Now, same time last year, this year inventory is more by 50%. New listing is also higher than last year by 13%, but sold homes are down 10%. Pending homes are up 24%. Good morning, Jim. How's it going, man? Good to see you on. Okay, average price per square foot is up from last week by 2%, but is down from last month by 2% as well. And is also down from last year by 1.5%. Interesting. Okay. Okay. Days on the market. 2 days shorter now from last week, which was 27 days on average for a home to go off the market when it hits the market. So that's still fairly quick. Okay. This month is on average 24 days on the market versus last month it was 28 days. Now last year around this time on average it took 22 days for a home to go off the market. This month, this year, it's 24 days. Okay, so 2 days different, it's still fairly fast. All right. People are still buying. Homes are still coming off the market. If it's marketed correctly, of course. Okay, average price listed, average price sold. Active price this week went up a tiny tad. Sold price also went up a tiny tad from last week, 624K. Now, this month and last month. This month, average active price is down by 2%. Average sold price is also down from last month by almost 1%. So 623,000 versus 628,000 last month. Last year, it's a little bit lower, not too far off, but last year homes are selling on average around this time 625K. This year it's 623K. Okay. Again, I care more about the sold, not really the actives. Okay. For those of you guys just joining in, if you guys have any questions or comments, just put them in the chat box. Me and Lisa will get to them as soon as we're done with all this. And then we'll go from there. All right, inventory. Inventory is at 2.1 month worth. Last month it was at 1.8. Last year we had 1.3 months worth of inventory, so very little inventory compared to this year. See, 2 months and 1.3. But 2 months is still fairly low to where it's still a seller's market. And remember what I said, when it's 3 months and up for like a good 3 to 6 months ongoing consistently, then most likely the market has shifted. Okay, but for right now, we haven't really seen that yet. Still below, so we'll see. We'll see what everything is gonna play out to be. Mike says, what app do you use to live stream your podcast and share screen? I use StreamYard. StreamYard.com. I use a paid version. That's what I use. So yeah. Thanks for asking. All right, let's do some mortgage update, shall we?
Yep.
Mortgage news. You're welcome, Mike. There's the mortgage this week. Well, today.
Right.
From last week, it went up a little bit, right? Or a little change, because I know last week it was a little bit below 6%.
Well, from last week, you're talking about FHA, right, Tia?
Yeah, FHA. Yep.
FHA was a little bit. Everything is a little bit up right now. It actually was roughly about 6.38 when the last show that we did last week. It started going back up again. It started just to go back down again yesterday. So again, when it goes up and down, as you can see, it's not that huge of a difference. So don't wait until the ball drops down to 6 to 5%. You can always refinance later on, secure your house so that you're not missing that boat on that as well. So we don't have to hear that that pain point of our people saying, "I was like, hey, I should have listened to you 2-3 years ago," right? Don't worry about what you didn't do the last few years. Start taking a look at what your future may look like if you started today.
Yes, let's do that. Let us do that. Maya, you're so sweet. I'll let her know. I've been trying to get my wife on the show for a long time, but she's very camera shy, I'm the opposite, as you guys already know. But yeah, she's very camera shy, but we've been talking about it. I told her she needs to come on the show. It might not have to be this early or on Thursdays like this, but she could come on any day of the week, and then we could just talk about staging and all that. So yeah, maybe you should keep bringing her up, Mike. Maybe it might motivate her to come on.
I agree.
But yes, Lisa, you're right. Rates did go up a little bit. So if you guys are waiting for a drop, it's a big gamble, man. This is literally casino gambling right here. Okay, you're not gonna be able to really know when. Nobody really knows when the rates are gonna go up or down. Nobody has a crystal ball. You're just gonna have to really get in because the last thing you want to do right now in this market is shoot yourself in the foot, praying that a lower rate's coming and it's not, and then you missed out on the rate that was lower today versus tomorrow. Okay,
Right,
so
and there's so many more people waiting for the rates to drop in order to buy. So even if it does, it might not favor you because the home prices will continue to shoot up again. Inventory is still already low, even at the quote unquote higher interest rates. So imagine how much lower it would be once that market hits.
I agree. That is exactly what's going to be happen. I says, Liz, what do you project rates the end of the year?
Oh, geez. That's one loaded question, right, Mai? Here's the thing. We are in a very unusual year. We just passed COVID, which was also an unusual situation. Okay, what happened during COVID wasn't supposed to happen. The interest rates that you're seeing right now was supposed to happen during the COVID years, but um, it kind of like subsided because of that situation, and now it's almost like it's hitting back tenfold. We're in an election year. In a typical election year, historically, every single election year, the interest rates actually are lower before election and then starts to rise again after the case. What do I see at the end of the year? If it follows the trend of what it's been doing, okay, then I would think that it's going to go higher after the election. However, again, because this year is such a weird and odd year, and our campaigns have been so polarizing, right? It's so controversial. That may or may not be the case. Some people are speculating that hey, if the Democratic Party wins, then there's a chance that it's going to go either stabilize or it's going to possibly even go up. If it goes the other party, if it goes Republican, then there's a better chance that it's going to go down. There's so much information out there. I don't think there's enough time for us to get into the politics of it. Take a look at the economy. Take a look at what's going around. Take a look at the job market. That's really what's affecting the mortgage rates and the bond rates. Stock market, unfortunately, didn't do so well in the recent weeks. So with that being said, based on my instinct and what I'm seeing so far, I don't see it actually, I don't see why it would go up anymore, just simply because with the rate of inflation and everything like that, there's going to be less and less people already are not able to qualify for what they would want already. So if it goes up anymore, I don't see that helping our economy really. But at the end of the day, we're bleeding right now. We as a nation are bleeding money. So on the other hand, what's helping it right now too is the real estate market. Now it's a controversial type of situation where you're thinking, okay, well, which one is it? Is it going to go up? Is it going to go down? I don't know, I really, really don't know. Instinctively, I would say I don't think it can go up more because the public cannot afford it. But at the same token, the ones that can afford it is going to continue to to carry the burden for the rest. And unfortunately, although that's very unfair, that may actually be the case. So it could go either way.
Thing, I think it's Thing. Thing says, I agree with buy now, but I'm curious, can my lender increase origination fees by $200 between the initial CD and final CD? I'm exhausted at this point and just bought anyways without finding them.
So as far as fees goes, we can't go over a 10% overage. So if it's a 200 between the initial CD and the final CD, there's got to be something else that's in there, T. Um, I'd have to take a look at it to truly see. There's certain things that can't be increased and certain things that can. So if it's a $200 of a difference, I'm going to have to assume that it's some sort of title escrow fee that may have increased a little bit here. There could have been an extra appraisal fee, and I'm not sure about that. Just because it's a third-party fee. If it wasn't disclosed that there was a second appraisal that needs to be done, the second inspection that needs to be done, something of that sort. So I would need to take a look at that to really truly give you that answer. Typically, if there is a fee that is outside the realm of the 10% that lenders can actually charge over. They can't, but I'm not saying that lenders don't do that. I've seen certain things that weren't done correctly before too. So, if you want a second opinion, send it to me. I'll be more than happy to really look at that for you.
I says 3 years ago, everyone was paying 30 to 50K. Yep, I remember that. Everybody was removing inspection contingencies, removing appraisal contingencies, and then wanting to pay the difference up to a certain amount outside of appraisal gaps. So
Right.
yeah, I don't see that happening anytime soon, honestly, just
Unless
because,
rates
unless rates drop, yes, then people could afford it again. But right
correct.
now, a lot of people that have that kind of money, the 30 to 50K over, they would rather use it towards buying down the rates from what I've seen today.
Yeah.
Funny that you're mentioning 3 years ago because we have clients today that are trying to sell today. Some of them are breaking even because they bought 30 to 50K over a couple years ago, and now they're barely breaking even. And the number one determining factor why they're selling now and not keeping it is because insurance and property tax here in California has gone up so much to where during that time, because they were really over asking price, their debt to income ratio was super high already, and now with the increase in tax and insurance, it just knocked them out the park to where they can't budget for savings anymore. So their whole lifestyle basically turned upside down, and they just had to sell before it becomes too late or before it starts eating more into their savings.
Well,
Unfortunately.
not only that, remember how the 3-2-1 and the 2-1 buy down was so popular? Now
That
the
too.
2-3 years is already hit, and they're like, oh my gosh, I still can't catch up to these payments. And on top of that, insurance is coming in as well. So they're
Hmm.
having to sell because they have to, not because they actually want to, right, Tia?
Yep. Yep, that's exactly what's going on. So that's one of the things I didn't really like about the 3-1 buy down,
Mhm.
unless you were super sure that regardless of rates going down or not, you could handle that interest rate during that time,
Right.
right? And some people just, again, they're gambling on locking rates, right? Like they just thought, man, I think I'm gonna be able to time it right. I think rates are gonna go down, so I'll lock then. Don't do that. Don't shoot yourself in the foot. Don't gamble with your own money. I'm not a gambler. I hate gambling. Me and my wife were just talking about that yesterday. But then like, yeah, don't gamble. That's basically gambling right there. Trying to lock in rates at the lowest. You're not gonna know when the low is gonna be. It might end up being higher than today. So that's that. The other thing too is, yeah, I think the insurance and the taxes, it's gonna keep going up because like right now, prices if prices keep going up, then the property taxes are gonna keep going up. Okay, it's gonna get reassessed every year, right? So I mean, we'll see. We will see. What thing? What are you trying to post? I don't see anything. Maybe you butt dialed. Okay, while I'm waiting for that, let's talk about the changes to the compensation. I'm basically going to NAR, National Association of Realtors. If you guys remember a few months ago, we came live and then I reported this. It was all over the news. Basically, some big brokers got sued and they lost the lawsuit. It was like over 400, 600 million. And because of that, there's a lot of changes that are coming in 2 days. And some brokers like NEXP, My Miller and them in the East Coast, they're implementing changes already. Our local MLS, if you guys don't know what that is, that's basically this thing right here. Okay, to where we get to uh, have like a CRM database to look on all the home that's coming soon on the market or is on the market, sold, pending, etc. This is where I get all of my data. Okay, this is where I get all my data, which is this bad boy right here. Okay, it's from the MLS. So they're really implementing changes. So, like for example, right, if I was to like click on a listing, you know, um, let's say we click on this, it's already pending. If you go down low enough, there's gonna be like an area for commissions. Oh, I don't see it no more. Maybe they took it off today. Oh yeah, I think they took it off. Okay. Hey, news. I found out just like you guys did. Okay, so today looks like everything is changed. There's no more commission showing. Normally there will be like a little column here that says commission for buyer's agent, 2%, 2.5%, 3%. But as you guys can see, it's nowhere to be found. Okay. You see it, Lisa? Or is it just me?
Nope, I don't. Well, it's small for me.
Well, yeah, it's my bad, my bad. But
That's
okay, yeah.
okay.
Yeah, so it's not showing no more. Okay. Okay. So yeah, this is basically what it is right there. So that's what they're talking about. So there's a lot of companies out there, softwares out there that's already implementing change. And in 2 days, the 17th, it has to officially become the new change. So basically, what is the gist? So let me just before, like, what happens is if a home buyer was looking to buy a home, they would probably go to like, Zillow.com, right? You go to like Zillow.com, you're going buy a home, you see a home, you click on it, you'd be like, oh man, I like this home. Let's request a tour. Okay, you click on this, you pick whatever day. Zillow is a free platform for consumers, but for agents, it's not. Agents advertise on it. That's why whenever you go down here, you see agents' faces you know, all over Zillow, like these, local experts and stuff like that. Lenders too. Well, their face didn't just end up there. It's because they paid for marketing. It could be hundreds of dollars a month, thousands of dollars a month. And what Zillow does is when you request a tour, Zillow sends it to the buyers, to the agents that pays for the subscription plan, and then whoever reaches out to you first, if you like the person, then they become your agent. They keep showing you home and so forth, right? The average buyer's agent does not like bring up the commissions or make a buyer sign a exclusive agreement to only use that agent to tour homes and write offers. And then whenever they buy a home, they just write an offer automatically, and the sellers that list the home with their listing agent pays a commission to the listing agent and your buyer's agent. Okay, so not a lot of buyers know that. So one, it was a good thing because buyers weren't paying for the commission. So of course, why wouldn't you want to use a buyer's agent, right? Because they help you negotiate, they help you find the right home for the area, they know the area better, etc. Right? Now the change is every buyer's agent before they tour a home with you, they're gonna say, hey, you're gonna need to sign an exclusive agreement with me and my broker before I can show you homes, because starting August 17th, you're supposed to be paying for my commission. Okay, so that's how this new change is coming into effect. But I know what you guys are thinking. Man, Chia, it's already hard enough to save for the down payment on a house as a first time home buyer, the closing costs, new appliances, etc., the move. Now I gotta add 2 to 2.5% on top of that too to pay my agent. Man, you know what? I'm just gonna go straight to the listing agent. You could. And let me just say, before this lawsuit happened, commission was already still negotiable. But now it has to be in black and white with the basic contract now, basically. Okay, because you're supposed to have the buyers sign it now, or the sellers, right? because not all sellers are gonna opt out of this change. There's still gonna be compensating buyer's agent, but the difference is the buyer's agent don't know how much because it's not advertised locally no more. So the buyer's agent, it's their job now to ask the sellers if they're paying a commission or offering any compensation to the buyer's broker. Okay, so that's the change. All right. So yes, in 2 days, this change is going to be in effect for all home buyers. But here's what I'm telling all of my clients that I'm working with today. Even with this change, it's not really going to change the practice much. Well, the practice it is because there's more contracts involved. And in that contract, it's a buyer's agreement compensation form. And there's a little check mark. You know what? I would just love to show you guys. How about that? So that way you guys see exactly what is involved. So that way you guys have an idea. Okay. This will be a good time to show you guys how the contract looks like. Let's wait for my things to show up. It's not popping up. I'll just go to test. Gotta create a new form, etc. Okay, so this is my doc form, okay? Let's just go to all the forms right here. Let's look at this. Buyer representation and broker compensation agreement, okay? This was put in here in, I believe, July 24th, yep. And this is the form. Disclosure regarding real estate agency relationship, okay? And then see, you put the buyer's name here and the agent's name here, which you see, it's me in template. My name, okay? And then you just go down and see the buyer representation and broker compensation agreement. It's right here. You date it. Okay, and then you put the buyer's name. Let's just say Lisa. Hey, Lisa, I get to represent you today.
All right.
All right. And then, you put the period. And let's say we put today, you can't go more than 3 months. So let's just put until next month, okay? And then you put non-exclusive or exclusive, depending on what you want. And then single family. Oh, single family is already automatically checked. County, yes, you probably don't need to fill all this out. But here's the important part, okay? See, amount of compensation. 2%, 2.5, 0, I don't know, or a flat fee of X amount. And here's where you go, okay? Buyer does not have sufficient funds to pay broker. Buyer intends to purchase with the following loan product, which does not allow buyer compensation. Whatever it is, you check mark. Or other terms, what people will normally put is seller pays, right? Something along that line. Or, like if you keep going down here, it's just giving you a little bit more disclosures on why this is coming into effect and the duty a buyer agent has to you. So you could sign, you get all of this signed. It's required now, okay, by most brokers. And that's how you would you put the property address according. This is how you will implement the change. That's it. So what I'm doing today is business as usual with my buyers, with my home buyers, okay? Right, Lisa? Business as usual. And this form gets included, and then I'll just educate my buyers and say, hey, look, yes, there's a buyer agent compensation form in there now. It's never been in there before, but they remember the lawsuit, etc., with all that. Well, that's why we need this form now. But I know it says buyer compensation, but we're gonna make the seller pay for it. And I already spoke to the seller's agent, and they are offering compensation. And then what happens is when you put that compensation in here, right? You send it in, they look at your offers, they like it, they accept it, boom. Seller still pays for it. But the difference is there's this form now that states that seller is willing to pay that now. Before there wasn't this form and it was already automatic that the seller was paying for it because it was advertised on the MLS and Zillow and all those platforms. Okay. Like even before, Zillow even had like a little box section right here that says buyer compensation 2%, 2.5%. But they took it off the moment this lawsuit was settled. They took it off. They were ahead of the game. They just took it off. And everybody's like, oh, what's going on? So that's basically what's going on. What's going to change is with this new rule, there's just going to be more disclosures now, more talks about this topic now. So that's why I'm bringing it on the show today, and I want to talk more about it. See what you guys think, how you guys feel. Do you think it's going to be hard to buy a home now? Because, I mean, there are some sellers out there that will probably not pay anything to your agent. Now, that's going to lead you to the question of, then how am I going to pay my agent if I only have enough for closing costs and my down payment? That's going to be between you and your agent, how you guys will work things out. Okay. Maybe your agent's willing to take a bullet, and this time around and then just kind of go from there. Like, I don't know how you guys are going to work it. Some brokers are even offering to like do flat fees or do hourly now. Did you know that, Lisa?
Oh, that's interesting. Hourly, huh?
Hourly. Some agents now are charging per home they show.
I I mean, that's new. New and interesting. I don't know many times you would put that hour in there because let's just say, for instance, if somebody needs to see a home that's half an hour away, do you also count for the hour that you'd have to drive from wherever your
Yeah.
office to see that, and so on and so forth, right? I mean,
Hmm.
I don't know about you, Tia, but I think this is a lawsuit and a disaster waiting to happen very,
It
very
is.
short. It
That's
is
what I
because,
said, because look right there. Look right here.
uh-huh,
Commissions are not set by law. They're negotiable. NAR does
yep,
not dictate commission. This was true before the agreement settlement and remains true today. And that's what I just mentioned, right? Commission was
yep,
always negotiable before this. It's just now it needs to be in black and white. Exactly what was negotiated. It needs to be public information now to both the seller and the buyer, right? And yes, you're right. I feel like this is definitely going to open up a new lawsuit soon, but instead, not between sellers and buyers. I mean, and sellers and brokers, but buyers and brokers, right?
right.
There's going to be a new settlement coming probably in the next couple of years after this implementation to where buyers are probably going to complain that, man, I could barely save up enough money for the down payment and the closing costs, and now I got paid for this. Because of this, I have to save even longer to buy a home, and because of that, rates went up. And I missed the boat when rates came down or prices kept going up, and now it's way out of my affordability zone. I think something in that kind of range is gonna probably come out.
Right. And so, I mean, you and I
I
already know
didn't
this.
get good representation. I was trying to save costs, so I went straight to the listing agent. Listing agent didn't represent me, so I had to hire a lawyer or do all this, learn how to be an agent, even though I'm not an agent. The listing agent wouldn't represent me because I wasn't able to pay him either. You know,
Yeah.
so I think it's going to be very, very interesting. And buyers, I feel for you because in 2016, I became an agent and I bought my first home. So I was a first time home buyer in 2016, me and my wife. And man, we were barely getting by. If we would have had to pay a commission, I mean, thankfully, the person that was representing me, was someone I knew, so they worked things out with me. But then, like, I think I would have had to wait another year to save that kind of 2 to 3% commission, So, like, I feel you because it is tough, especially right now in this economy. It's super, super like frustrating to get by, in California, because of everything that's been going on, So you gotta work two jobs now, or have a full time gig and have a side gig to make ends meet, and that's gonna be robbing you away from time with your family, quality time, etc. Like I was reading a post the other day by one of my buddies, right? Um, he was saying that it's so hard already to get by, and being in California and all that, like for like to raise a family and everything. Yeah, yeah. This is the post right here. Let me just read it for you guys, okay? Let me just read it for you guys. So this is my buddy. He says California ain't the place to start a family anymore. I give California 20 more years, maybe less, and it would be impossible to raise or have kids. It's either you're upper class or lower class to have kids in California. Middle class, just forget about starting a family here. There's barely any support system to help you raise your kids. Your parents have to work until they die, leaving you with no support system. Social Security will probably deplete by then, or cost of living will be higher than your retirement, forcing you back into the workforce. You can forget about the white picket fence, as it would take you more than one spouse to even afford a rental for an apartment. It now takes more than two to make ends meet or to keep your nose above water, leaving you with less time with your precious little ones. Daycare costs as much as salary exempt monthly, as your work for free to pay that off, since you won't qualify for being middle class. Millennials, our generation in California, is doomed for middle class.
I feel that. I mean, I feel for everybody in this boat. I mean, the has and have not, that gap again. We've stressed this before, right, Tia? It's getting more and more and more. Now, going back to this whole buyer broker situation, compensation, and whatnot, and how it's going to affect our economy and everything. And we're not going to even talk about the interest rate and how that's going to affect the market. But this alone is going to affect the market, and it may absolutely change the supply and demand. I mean, for over a decade already, and everybody's waiting for the sky to fall to buy a home, whatnot, right?
Hmm.
The supply is significantly lower than the demand. However, just like Chia said before, for our first-time buyers who are just trying to come who is in that situation where this person is talking about, say, hey, they're trying to be above water and whatnot, and now they can't pay for representation. What does that mean? If they can't pay for representation, they got to go to somebody else's representation, right? And realistically, what should have happened, okay, correct me if I'm wrong, Chia, but realistically, the reason why this came into play to begin with is because a lot of agents out there, unfortunately, did not represent their clients well, right?
Yeah.
And therefore, this came into place because it's like, well, why do we need somebody if they're not able to represent as well? That number of people that not misrepresenting their clients is getting higher and higher because the criteria to be a real estate agent is not as rigorous as I believe it should be. Ethics should definitely be on a higher mark. The ability to be doing the job, and in order for you to be an appraiser, you actually have to have some sort of hours that have to be implemented before you actually get certified. That should have been taken place into the real estate market. Chia, how many times have we been up against another agent and whatnot, and we're wondering how the heck are you continuing to represent your client in this way? We feel bad for your client in this way, right? How many times have you and I had that conversation? That criteria should have been up. So then maybe perhaps it wouldn't have gotten to this point where many people don't believe that a buyer needs to be compensated. Here's the problem with that. If you understand the business model, if a buyer agent does not get compensated, that means they're not going to be in this industry. That means there's not going to be people who want to be in this industry to represent other people that deserve that type of representation, and to say, hey, let's make sure the house is inspected correctly. Let's make sure that the seller is selling you a home and is honest about what's on the contract, right? So when you're taking all of that in effect and taking all of that out, that's absolutely going to affect how the supply and demand chain is going to be.
Look, Ching says, I agree with you, Lisa. I feel like the past few years I've had to work and not the agent. I've had to, he probably meant I had to work harder than the agent.
Yeah,
And,
sorry
you know,
with that.
and I would say this too. I'm saying this because, Chang, I know you're an investor there in Clovis in the Fresno area, right? And investors are very savvy. And most buyers agents are not investor savvy type. They're really new and to that investing world. That's why they're not real estate investors. They're real estate sales agents, and they represent the first time home buyers that don't know nothing about buying a home. And even that, yes, sometimes they fail to do that part. But yeah, like I think for the past few years we've had so many new agents enter into the industry because it was booming, right, Lisa? Just like new lenders, etc., and all that, flyby agents. And you probably have one of those, that claim they knew about investing, but they didn't. And then when you took their word for it, you ended up doing more work than they did to find out about the details of the home. And no, and I think, as a savvy buyer, there'll be clues and signs of the buyer's agent being that way to where you are entitled to firing them and hiring a different agent, but the other way around isn't so true to where sometimes agents know they're doing bad. They just don't admit to it being bad. They just kind of play along, Unfortunately, the client gets to pay and reap those bad benefits,
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate, because, in today's day and age, especially for the past couple of years, there's a lot of gurus, right? There's a lot of information out there on YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, etc. So anybody and everybody is talking about it and claiming that they're experts, right? But I always like to tell people when I'm getting interviewed to get hired as an agent, I always tell them you can interview hundreds of agents. We could say the right things, we could sugarcoat everything, and we're gonna make ourselves look good. But that doesn't prove anything. Let's go out in the field and then I will show you what I'm capable of doing, what I will do for you. And if from there you can be the judge if we are a good fit or not. Because sitting at the end of the table don't really define who that person really is. Some people are really good salesmen, but they're not really good nurturers. They're not really good caretakers, And first time home buyers or buyers in general, they need that person to kind of walk them through the process and educate them about things because they don't even know what questions to ask. So you got to be a good expert to be able to read their body language and educate them on why things are happening the way it is, all of that, So that's why, I like working with Lisa because Lisa has a heart of a teacher and she would overload you with information if you want to know it, because it's better to know the information than not knowing it and figuring it out first time you cross that bridge. And it's like, whoa, how come you didn't warn me about this?
Right.
So like even today we have clients that call us on the daily, weekly, monthly, just asking us about the market or questions they have about a home that they just bought, etc. Because we offer that line of communication to all of our clients because it's so important. Buying a home is so expensive to where before buying and post closing on your home, you're still gonna have questions.
Right.
That's how, because it's changing every year, every month. I swear, like every month there is like a new contract that that gets implemented to our forms. I think back in the day, this form, the purchase agreement was only like probably 5 pages. But as the years went by, lawsuits started coming in. There was new forms for everything. You know?
Right. I mean, anytime there's a new form, it's because a lawsuit already happened, most
Yep.
likely, right?
Yep.
So, I mean, it's funny because, like, you know how, like, sometimes people buy in other areas and whatnot, and I don't have a agent in that area. I'll interview them too. If you guys ever want a checklist of how I interview for the right agents for my people that are in the other area, it's very helpful for me for as a lender per se. I always want to work with agents that actually know what they're talking about. And as a lender, I know exactly what to ask and stuff. So if you ever want that checklist, I'm more than happy to give you guys that checklist so that you can vet your realtors better. It's really, really important. It's not, Chia, you said it very correctly earlier when you say there's so many people that are great salespeople. They're great at the sales pitch. But really, what makes a good agent, guys, is somebody that's a good advocate for you, that's willing to take care of your money the way that they would take care of their own money, and make sure that you get not just the best bang for your buck, but also to take a look at the houses because they've been looking at it so many times. They've done it so many times, and especially on an investor point of view. Hey, for an investor point of view, do you have somebody that can advocate for you that understands, hey, if the contractor quotes you that the roof is going to cost $20,000, but if the agent's been around enough, they'll see that the fact that they'll say, hey, this is a 2-story home, it's 3,000 square feet. There's no way this thing is only $20,000. You're going to have to budget at least $50,000, right? And they'll understand that, hey, when you're investing in a property, make sure you put in cushion at least 15 to 25% for the cost of construction, the cost of holding costs, and things like that.
Yeah, I think if you guys just are about to hire an agent, whether it's a listing agent to sell your home or a buyer's agent to buy your new home or your second home, in this case, Ching 10th home, um, interview them. What I always like to do is, we're all human, right? And you kind of know when you like someone and don't like someone, right? When you're out there in the field with them, looking at homes or having coffee, just ask yourself. I've always stuck with this, and it always worked with me. If I don't mind having lunch or coffee with this person, maybe then there's something to it. Maybe this might work. And does he or she have a heart of a teacher, willing to answer any dumb questions that I may have, anything like that? And if everything checks out, then you might have found you an agent. And I'm not saying that new agents are bad, right? I was a new agent 8 years ago too, okay? But like if an agent is honest about that and say, hey, I'm a new agent, but I am hungry, I'm wanting to learn, and I am educated and all of that, I'm gonna like be an advocate for you, then like let's see it in the field. That's the only way to know, if they are gonna really do those things they promise you during the interview process. So like I think today, starting this with this new implementation, the compensation plan for buyer's agent, it's going to be more important to really, really scout and find that agent that you really want to work with. So, and Lisa mentioned it earlier. This should have been implemented years ago to where now every buyer's agent is already conditioned into it. But right now, with this being implemented during this time, a lot of buyers agent that just joined the industry not the past couple of years or so, they're like, man, this is really new. I just finally got my business to where I wanted to be. But change can sometimes be good. All right. And I think with this implementation, You're gonna see who the real agents are, and you're gonna see who the real flyby agents are. You're gonna
Yep.
see a lot of people are gonna drop out. A lot of agents are had already like decided they're not gonna renew their license, this year or next year.
Yeah.
So I've spoken to a few already. So that's that, and I think if you guys have any other questions, like regarding this, you guys are still confused, reach out to somebody. I think that's the best way to really, really get a feel for it. Especially if you're not in California, maybe different states might implement different rules and regulation. So like I'd say, just reach out. Don't be afraid to reach out. What do you think, Lisa?
Absolutely.
Okay. Ching, Ching says, I wish it was a 10th home, but it will get there one day. Yeah, man. You're hustling, dude. I see your posts all the time, man. You're flipping houses, working on your homes, etc. All of that. So, all right. What do you have on the agenda today, Lisa, that you want to share about?
Um, I, I thought we were just going to talk about this portion. I think this part is really, really important, Chia, so that people understand how important representation is. Even though they took that out, um, I don't agree with it. I don't think most people in the industry completely agrees with it. But unfortunately, the few that have misrepresented our profession and our industry and whatnot have kind of messed that up for a lot. Do
Yeah.
I see it changing? Absolutely, I do see it changing. Just because the public is thinking that they don't need that representation, it is definitely going to change. I would say in the next 2-3 years, they're going to see that repercussion.
Yeah. Sorry, I am messaging somebody right now that kind of DM me.
That's okay. But on the good news, guys, okay, in our Sacramento area, there was an article I sent you earlier, I think about a week or two ago, Tia. We made it. We made it into one of the top cities in California. I know people are saying, hey, we won't be able to afford California anymore. Elk Grove and Roseville did make it up there for cost of living, for school district, for job market, and things like that, too. So, it's still a good place to raise your family. There's so many people from the Bay Area that's coming up here because of that. Since we're already here, you guys already are in this area. You guys already know how much growth that we've had so far. So I would say continue. If the numbers look good and everything like that, take a look at it. It may be a good time to buy for you too.
I agree. Always consult with the professional in your area and then, go from there. What I like to tell people too is most buyers, you guys have a lot of like apps in your smartphones. Start browsing, like start looking up mortgage calculators. There's like a affordability calculator online now too. You just put in all your stuff in, or reach out to like a local lender like Lisa, and just start putting all those information in, and find out what you can or cannot afford, and then from there, you know what the price point is now. Start browsing that price point. I think people, first time home buyers especially, they still think buying a home is kind of like buying a car, Lisa, to where they go and look at the car in the lot first, right? And then they
Mm-hmm.
drive it. Even though they can't afford it, they can still get qualified for it because dealers are
Mm-hmm.
very salesy. So they could make it work even though your credit is pretty bad, right? So it's different with the home. A home, you should not be looking at the home price first or the home first because you're going to get jaded because you're not setting real life expectations with yourself because you could be looking at $1 million home and you fell in love with it. And then when you run your actual pre approval with a lender like Lisa, You turn in all your documentations, they pull credit, and they found out, oh man, you have all this debt, etc. You might qualify for 900K instead only, not a million. And now you're looking at homes at 900K. You're like, man, these are nothing compared to the $1 million homes, and then you're upset now that you don't buy a home because you started the process incorrectly. You should have spoken to like a lender first, and then you find out what the purchasing power is for your situation. Then you go and browse homes within that price point.
Right.
Now you're being real with yourself,
Right.
So that's how you should do it
And
always.
And the other thing too, Chia, you've seen it. We've had so many people move out of the area as well. California is a big, big state, right? And I've seen a lot of my people go to Fresno. We're getting people to Oroville, to Plymouth Lake, in this area. So take a look at all of that. If you're working remotely, perhaps expand your search to somewhere that is a little bit more affordable.
Yeah, if that's true, like that's what people are doing right now because Sacramento and El Go is getting so expensive. People are going in the outskirts, so they're driving 30 minutes outside of their preferred location now. So here, the outskirts are Plumas, Olivehurst, Marysville, Linda. You know, Stockton, well, those areas are getting pricey already. Galt and Lodi. So like, yeah, Stockton area, Modesto, etc. Right? They're going on the outskirts now, and that's okay. Cause I always like to tell first-time home buyers, especially, right? Your first home, think of it as a step-up home. You're living in there in the meantime, so that way you can save up money because you're renting your entire life, it's gonna be harder to save. So own a home that's yours instead of renting it, so you can save costs on the moving expense and rent increases, etc. And pay your equity, and then use that as a forced saving account for when you have enough saved to buy your dream home.
Right.
And that's okay. It's okay to do that. Nothing's wrong with that because your first home, I guarantee you, you might think it's your dream home, but what's going to happen is you're going to either outgrow it or you're going to now have experience to where you're going to want to change the layout of many things now. You would rather the kitchen be here, the sliding door to that backyard be here, whatever the case may be, your master bedroom right here. You're going to start writing these things down in your head for your dream home. It
Right.
happens all the time. The average buyer change homes like every 5 to 6 years, according to the data. So
Right.
like it's because they outgrow. So there's nothing wrong with that.
Well, I mean, I think people just don't know what they don't know, right? Once you live in your
Yeah,
house and it's like, man, this is so inconvenient. I don't like my counters to be like this. I wish I had an island like this, right? Or,
yeah,
hey, it's not convenient because the garage is on the other side, the kitchen is on this side. Every single time I go buy groceries, I have to carry everything so far. So, you may not know your true preference until you actually have lived in the home.
that's true. But hey, we are getting close, so we're probably just gonna end it here. If you guys have any questions about this new implementation of buyer's agent compensation plan, starting in 2 days, August 17th, like reach out to me, reach out to Lisa, reach out to a local professional in your area, and then just pick their brains, how it's going to affect you as a buyer, even a seller, like how is it going to affect you as a seller? And then just kind of go from there. If you don't ask us, we're not going to be able to read your mind. We're not going to know. So just ask. There's no such thing as a dumb question. And yeah, hopefully you guys got something today. Thank you guys for all the questions, all the comments, all the engagement. We love it. And waking up so early with us. Yeah, okay. But we're gonna let you guys go. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday, your week, and we'll see you guys next time. Okay, Chi Chi fams. Peace out now.
Bye, TT fam.